Now we are going to do exploratory data analysis using Python. So here we are going to address this particular sports domain problem. La Liga, we already know it is a football division of the Spanish Football League system. So here we are having a data set that contains informations on different teams that have participated in the past tournaments. Also, we are having the scores that is each of the teams scored during these different seasons, as well as who all came in first six position, what are the trend in their best position in the past, etc. So we are having different or information about the teams that have played in the season. So we are provided with a CSV file called laliga.csv, and this is containing all the past tournaments records. So we are going to analyze this data set and do some tasks. So what is our task? So here the objective is to use Python functions, and we have to come up with matrices to analyze these things so that we can predict which is the team that is going to win in the upcoming La Liga Cup. So before doing any kind of machine learning task, it is very essential to understand the data set, understand different kinds of features and patterns in the data set, and we have to do cleaning if there are some missing values or some not acceptable values, because only if we are converting every data in the column to numerical column, then only we can do machine learning tasks and other things on the data set. So that is why we have to do all these things first. So that is what in a combined way called as exploratory data analysis and then data cleaning. So let's understand all this first. First, we will have to mount our Google Drive. I already explained this in a previous video. So if you are very new to this or if you are a beginner, you can go check out my previous video. I will give the description. I will give the link in the description. You can check that out and then come back here. So I will just mount it first. So here I have changed the directory to my working folder, that is I named it as easy learning. You guys can create your own folder before starting the project. So mine is mounted at content drive location. So it is a next step is to import necessary libraries. So it is a suggested practice, a better practice to always import all the necessary libraries before starting to address the dataset and problems. So let's import all the libraries first. Here I am importing pandas and numpy. This is mainly used to handle data frames and other arithmetic operations. Then for visualization, we are using matplot like and pyplot and seaborn package. Seaborn is mainly used to get bar plot, different kind of box plots, violin chart, etc. The histogram, all these things. So it is better to do this first. Now let's address the question. First question is read the dataset and replace dashes with zero to make sure you can perform arithmetic operations on the data. So we are having some dashes in the dataset. We will see the dataset first and then we will understand it and then we will replace all the dashes with zero. After that, we have to do the check the distribution of for best position. There is one particular column named as best position, and we have to see what is the distribution of that particular column. And also we need to report the top position. Let's read the data first. So our data is called Laliga scores.csv. I already imported my data here in my working directory. Here you can see. So after that, let's read the content in this CSV file to this data frame. And then let's look at the shape of the data. So here, this particular line of code will print the top 10 records. Let's run this. So here, 6118, which means you are having 61 rows in the dataset and 18 columns. So this is how the data look like. And here you can see in these columns, there are dashes. So there are missing values and it is having dashes in those locations. So that is our next task. So let's run this one, df equals this one. So this will give us the true and false in all the positions in the data set. So here true basically means here we are having this dash in the data. So we are just looking at which all column in which all position we are having dashes. So here we are having in this points column we are having dash here, and in all these columns we are having dashes, but here we are not having dashes. So we can avoid these three columns. We can just look at other columns and we can replace this dash with zeros. So let's just look at what are the different columns available in our data frame. So we are having all these columns. So either we can run a for loop for replacing dash with zero. You can have any method. Let's now just use for loop. Now let's just look at the top. Look at the 61 records whether we are getting the dashes replaced or not here. So here you can see before we are having dashes here, but now we are having zeros here. So we are done with the first part. Now let's look at the info of data frame. Let's see what are the different data types and how many non-null items we are having. What are the missing values if there are any. Let's see. Here you can see we are having non-null 61 in every column. So we are not missing any values in our data frame. Also here you can see different data types of the columns. Most of them are object data type and few of them are integer. So now what we can do is the second part of the question was to understand the distribution of best position column. We are having one column named as best position and we need to understand the distribution of this particular column. Here you can see. So let's use Seaborn package and use the uh, dist plot and show the figure here. As you can see here, we are having two peaks in the distribution, the normal distribution. One is a higher peak and one is a smaller peak. Also, it is slightly right skewed data. So this is how we can see the distribution of different columns. Now let's also use box plot to better understand the distribution. So here, so our median is around this particular mark. It is between 5 and 7.5, maybe around 6. This particular line indicate the median of the data. This particular line is 25 percentage quartile and this is 75 percentage quartile. So this is basically 50 percentage. So this one is this particular 75 percentile plus 1.5 interquartile range. Interquartile percent means this particular from this Q1 to Q3, what is the difference? So that is called interquartile range. So here we are having the upper quartile limit and here we are having the lower quartile limit. Okay. Now let's look at the let's use count plot also to get different counts in the best position. So here we are having highest count for position 1 with around the value around 9 and the other values are this almost similar and here we are having some lower values. So that's the end of the first question. Now let's move on to the next question. Now let's do the third question. When the list of teams which came top 5 in terms of points. So we have to sort the column, that is the points column, and then we will get the top 5 columns. So let's top 5 records. Let's just look at the head, I mean top 5 records and see if it is already sorted or not. So it is actually for this points column. So this is the points column. So it is actually in the descending order. So these five records, like these five teams, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, Valencia, and Athletic Bilbao. These five are the top five in terms of points. So we don't need to do anything. Now let's do the fourth question. So here they are asking to find uh, the goal differences. So for that, we have to write a function named goal diff count that should return all teams with their goal differences. So goal differences means goal differences, or we can store it in a new variable goal diff count. So which is goals for minus goals against. Goals for this is one column is already given, and goals against is also given. Means this is the goals that they scored, and this is the goals that other teams scored against them. So we have to find the difference. Let's write a function in Python. So for writing a function in Python, you have to start with this def keyword, and then you have to give the name of the function here like this, and then give the parameters which you are using inside this function. So here we will have to provide the data frame and what is the index location. Then X will get the goals for value, and Y variable here we will store the goals against value for each I location, whatever I location we are giving. And then we will have to convert this X to numeric value, because goals for and goals against, we already know that these are in this in the from the info. We already know that these are object data type. So with object data type, we can't do any numeric calculation. So we have to convert them to numeric first. So this x1 and y1 will store the numeric value. It will get stored into this variable. Now we have to just get the difference and then return from the function. Let's write the for loop for getting the goal difference value for every record in the column. Let's create a variable score that will store the value that is getting returned from this function, and we will provide the data frame and the particular I location, whichever I location we are at when we are running this while loop for loop. Let's give these two value to this function as input to this function, and we will get the return value here inside this core. And then let's just print the team, I mean the whatever team name at that particular I location. Df dot at basically means whatever value that is located at this particular index location. This is this is the row value and this is the column value, and whatever is located at that time, that means here it basically gives the name of the team and then the score for that team. Then we will give a new line. So let's run these two. Let's run this particular function first. So it is run. Now let's run this one, this for loop. Here it is. So you are getting the value for every team here. So you are getting the score for score basically means the goal difference count for each of the team. Real Madrid is having the highest goal difference, which is 2807. So also you can see for some team you are having negative goal difference, which basically means that these teams, they scored very less goals as compared to goals that has been scored by other teams against them, which basically means they are having less amount of score against other team, whereas other teams has scored more number of goals against this particular team. But still some of them were top in position. For example, like in the position, like for example, this Espanyol, this particular team was within top 10 position, but it is having a negative goal difference score. So it basically means that it is not a determining factor. This goal difference count is not a determining factor for the position they hold in the table, but rather how much win percentage, what they are having. That is what really matters. We will see in the later part. But for now, we can understand that even if their scores are less, they still hold a better position in the table. They got overall good points and they have won a lot of games. So that might be the reason why they are still in the higher position, even though the number of goals that they scored is pretty less as compared to the number of goals scored against them. So let's look at next question. We have to find the maximum and minimum goal difference using the same function. So let's first to find the maximum. To find the maximum, I am again writing a for loop. So before that, let's initialize a variable and give some kind of a very less value, like very negative value. And now we will run through this loop. When we are going through each record, we will find the goal difference count for each of this particular record, and then we will compare whether that goal difference count is greater than the maximum, that is this maximum. And if yes, then we will update the maximum with this score. So which means that particular score is greater than this value. So each time you are getting a higher value, it will get updated into this max variable, and the particular location will get stored into this particular J variable. So these two are inside this if condition. Only if this is satisfied, this will get updated. So at the end of this for loop, when we are done with iterating through every I location, every record, the value inside this max will be the highest possible score. And also J will be the particular location, at which location we got that particular high score. So if we are providing this J and the T and with this df dot act, then we will get that particular name of the team at whatever J location we are having this particular team which is having the highest score. So let's print this, let's run this and print this first here. So you got Real Madrid. Real Madrid got the highest, we already have seen before that Real Madrid got the highest difference score. Uh, let's find the minimum now. For minimum, we will have to initialize this particular variable with a very high value. Whatever it is, I just randomly put this particular value. You can give whatever highest value, which should be greater than the value in the record. Only that much. Now we will run through this. The only difference is here we will have to compare with less than, and we will have to update if it is less than the already set minimum. In that case, when we are done with running through the entire record, we will get a particular minimum value. Let's look at the value here. So here, Racing Santander got very less goal difference, which basically means they are having 525 goals less than the goals which were scored against them by other teams. So other teams scored 525 goals more than the goals that is scored by this particular team. So that is why they came in the lowest position. Now let's look at the next question. So here we have to create a new column with the name winning percent, and we have to append that to the data set. So percentage of winning is, they have given the formula, it is games won divided by games played into 100. If there are any numerical error, we can replace it with 0%. So let's see, we already have these two columns, that is games won and games played. Now we just have to compute this one and then append that to the data set. So let's again write one for loop for this. I will write one for loop for this. For I in range 61, we are having 61 records. Let's first convert the games one because we already know these all are given as object data type. So for doing numerical calculation, we need to convert them to numeric first from object data type. So let's convert this and store it in X. Similarly, games played, we will store it in Y. Now, if the denominator, this particular denominator is 0, in that case, we will have to, like in some cases, we can have this one is 0. If that is 0, then this will become infinity. So which is not acceptable. So If that is y is equal to means we are comparing with 0. If it is 0, then we will give the winning person value as 0. So this is here we are adding a new column winning person and we are adding the value here. If that is 0, we'll update it as 0. If it is not 0, then we will give the particular using this particular formula, that is x into 100 by y, or x by y into 100, whatever it is. Let's run this first. So it is done. Now let's look at the top 20 records. Here, here you got this uh, new column winning person, and you can see the winning percentage of all of these teams. Now we can also look at the bottom 20 record. So we will get the team which is having uh, very less winning person, and here one of the team is having 0 because here in this games one like games one the denominator became 0, so we don't if we are using the formula we'll be getting infinity, so we updated it as 0. Now let's look at the we have to just print the top 5 teams which is having the highest winning percent. So for that, we will have to sort the data using this winning percent column. Then only we can say whether the top 5 is, then only we can get the top 5 teams. First, let's copy the data into new data frame so that I can sort, because I don't want to change the original data. Now let's see what is the, okay, so here the this is sorted in ascending order, so the bottom 5 will give us the highest winning percent. Here, this one, that is Real Madrid, and others, these 5 are having the highest winning percent as expected from the data. Now we have to group teams based on their best position, and we have to print the sum of their points for all positions. Let's just copy this first. So here we are going to get the sum of their points. So for doing sum, we need to first convert these points from object data type to numeric. Then only we can do any arithmetic calculation. So we will do that first. Then we will group by best position to get the sum. So let's just convert this points column to numeric. Then let's just group by. We can use the group by function to get the group by values, like group by sum. So here we are printing the df and sum here. For each best position 1 to 20, we are having points, sum of the points, sum of the season, sum of the pause, sum of the winning person, etc. But we are only interested in this points column. So this is the sum of the points after grouping by best position. That's all. Thank you.